Welcome to the Graphic Designer's Passive Income Masterclass. My name is Callum and I'm going to be your instructor for this course. I just want to say before we start, thank you so much for enrolling in this course. I really appreciate it and I'm so happy that I get to share my knowledge with you and get you started on your passive income journey.
If you're like me, you're probably tired of client work, deadlines, no dependable steady income, not getting paid on time, or worse, being paid in exposure. Wouldn't it be nice if you could create an automated passive income stream that covers all of your bills and gives you back your free time, making you money while you sleep? Well, in this course, I will take you through the steps that I personally took to build a passive income of thousands of pounds per month in the fastest and easiest way possible. The best part about this strategy is it involves no knowledge of marketing, you don't need to be an expert in graphic design, it doesn't require your full-time attention, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. Just build the assets once and sell them over and over again. Once you have the income stream set up, you can choose to either use it as a nice monthly bonus supplementing your other income or turn it into a full-time income. It really depends how much time you want to put into it. This is a business model that requires no financial investment. The only thing needed is time and effort. The specific model that I'll be walking you through is creating vector icons and selling them on multiple different stock graphic websites such as Shutterstock, Adobe Stock, and many, many more. Let me just briefly explain why this is the fastest and easiest way to make passive income that I have personally found. The stock design industry is a game of quantity. The more graphics you can create and sell, the more exposure you will get and the more money you'll make. Icons are small and quick to design compared to larger illustrations, website designs, app designs and things like that. As well as being fast to design, you also have the unique ability to create multiple styles of your icons, which means you can build up a large portfolio capable of generating income in no time. This may all sound confusing, but I promise you it's a very easy concept to grasp and wrap your head around, and once you've created a few of these icons and got the ball rolling with some sales and see the early signs of passive income, you will not look back. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me personally or ping me on here. I've been doing this for a long time now, so I do feel very confident and I'll be able to help you with your questions, and if I don't have the answer, help you find it.
So thank you for joining me on this journey, and without further ado, let's get you earning some passive income.
Before we get started and jump into it, I just want to give you an overview of what I'll be teaching you in this course. Firstly, I'll be taking you step by step through the process of creating your first vector icons and creating all the varying styles that will help you build up your library really quickly. At the same time, you will learn how to properly export your files so they're ready for upload right away. Then, I will show you how to easily set up a portfolio to display your icons in the right way online. This is something you'll need when you approach the stock marketplaces that you'll be selling your icons on, as you need to give them some examples of your work before they accept you as a seller. Next, I will explain keywording, otherwise known as tagging or hashtags. This is a crucial and often overlooked part of the stock asset business, and in following my steps, a relatively easy one. The next step will be approaching these stock marketplaces with a simple application to become a contributor. We will start with the easiest ones to get accepted on first, as once you have these under your belt, it will be much easier to apply to the next few marketplaces, since you can then show them that you are already selling somewhere else. Alongside approaching them, I will be teaching you how to upload your icons to the marketplaces. This is one of the easiest parts of the process and can be done in no time at all. This will also be a part of some of the application processes. The final part of the course will be me giving you tips on how to expand and maintain your new stock icon business. This will include the things that I think are important to building a portfolio of icons that will sell, and most importantly, how to continue generating this newfound passive income for years to come. With some final thoughts at the end, including how much money you can expect to earn and a couple tidbits to help you on your way. Some quick FYIs before we start. The software that I'll be using to create the icons throughout this course is Adobe Illustrator, but you can do this in any other vector-based design software, such as Sketch, Figma, Affinity Designer, or whichever software you feel the most comfortable in. For the purpose of creating icons, Illustrator is what I've found works best for me, but feel free to use whichever software you would normally use. You'll just need to tailor the lessons that I give you to suit that software. Other than creating the icons initially, all the other parts of the process will stay the same regardless of software choice. Now, I will be assuming that you do have a basic level of knowledge of design software, so I'll be walking you through all the steps, but there may be some things that I just assume that you already know. I should also let you know that I'll be using a Mac for this course, so some things may slightly differ in the icon creation process for Windows users, but it will hopefully be mostly identical. So that's module 1 completed, and with FYIs out of the way, I look forward to taking you through all these steps and helping you on your journey to the freedom of earning money while you sleep. See you in the next one. Welcome to module 2. In this module, I'll be taking you through how many icons you need to start, how to choose and research icon topics, creating your first icon from scratch, building your full icon set, and creating multiple styles. Earning any substantial money in the stock graphic business all comes down to quantity. The more icons you have for sale, the more money you will make. This is because the marketplaces all work like search engines. Think of them as the Google, or as some use Bing, of graphic assets. The more items you have, the more likely you will show up in someone's search results, as you will have covered more topics and therefore be more likely to have the right icon to match their search. To start your icon business and begin earning income right away, it is essential that you have enough of them that you will show up in these search results. It also goes in your favour when you're applying to become a seller on the marketplaces, as the more proof that they have that you can create good, high quality icons, the more likely they are to accept you. When I started, I decided to build up a library of 1,000 icons before applying anywhere, which is the amount that I'm suggesting you create as well. This amount meant that I could fill out my portfolio and really give the impression that my work would be worth selling. Having 1,000 icons also meant that when I got onto these marketplaces, I could see some small amounts of income right away, giving me the confidence to persevere and expand my icon library, which ultimately led me to the point of earning a full-time living from these assets. Feel free to make as many or as little icons as you like before creating your portfolio and applying. The 1,000 number I'm giving you is just my personal suggestion. The best way to create icons are as packs of 20 to 100 different icons under the same category, with 50 being the sweet spot. For example, if I were to create a new set of icons, I would start by choosing a topic to create them around, such as business or summertime, and then begin to research the topic and come up with as many ideas as I can. Listing these ideas in a Notes app, a Word document or a spreadsheet or any similar software before starting the creation process. Bundling the icons up into categories is how these marketplaces list the icons, as well as being the way in which customers are used to seeing them. This method also makes it easier to create icons, as you can follow a theme and build them off of that. So for today's lesson, let's start off by choosing a topic. The easiest one to choose is going to be the Essentials category. A quick Google image search shows that essentials are things that are often essential to an app or website design, such as home, shop, settings, camera, user, login, profile, and much more. It can pretty much be any icon you think someone would use in a design. Definitely the most broad category you're likely to do. So, once we have our category, it's time to come up with some ideas. This is the bit where you get to let your creative mind loose. Again, the ideal amount for a set is around 50, so let's write down 50 ideas that relate to our chosen category of essentials so that we can start our icon set. I have already personally written down 50 ideas, but I want you to now come up with your own so that you create an icon set that is unique to you and that you can actually use to sell. Remember, Google is your friend. If you're ever feeling stuck or out of creative juices that day, have a look on Google to see what other people have made. Something else to keep in mind is that people really don't like duplicates. What I mean is you can't create one house icon, for example, copy the house across, add a chimney or say just a window and call it a whole new icon. Each idea must be unique in order for the marketplaces to accept you. Another quick note, it's important to never steal someone else's icons or artwork in general. You should always create your own that are unique to you, but searching for a bit of inspiration is not going to hurt. Now it's time for the fun bit, creating your first icon. Keep in mind there are no set rules or ways to make icons, but I will be taking you through the process that I follow. So the first thing that we're going to need is a file setup that's built for icons. Included with this course is a downloadable Adobe Illustrator file that you'll need to download now ready to follow along. The template will look like this and is built only for Adobe Illustrator. If you don't have Illustrator and prefer to use different software, then let me quickly show you how to create your own icon design template using Sketch as an example. What we'll need to do is create a new file with a 120 pixel artboard in RGB color mode. Once your file has been created, duplicate the artboard 4 times across to the right. Duplicate all 5 of those artboards down 10 times to give you your 50 artboards. Then you'll end up with a design file that looks something like this one, ready to build your icons. Now that we have the file downloaded, we need to give our folder and file a name. Start by naming the folder 1-Essentials. Then move into the line folder where you'll find your Illustrator file. Name this one Essentials-Line, since we'll be creating the line style icons first. Quick note, keeping everything neat and tidy with icon design is so important to the process. If you get to a point like me where you have over 80,000 icons, it gets very difficult to manage if it's untidy. That's why I'm so specific with my naming structure. With that being said, I would recommend putting all of your folders into one master icon folder named something like My Icons or just Icons. So, that note out of the way, we're going to go ahead and open up the file. Now, what we have is 50 artboards, all of them 120 pixels square. Over here is your artboard tab with all of their names. At the moment, they're in numerical order, but they are blank. So we will fill these in later once we finish the set. So, before you create all of the icons off your list of 50, let me take you through me creating a house icon so that you know what process to follow for the rest of them. Some basic rules of icon design before we start. Try to stick to the grid as much as possible. We'll be using a 4 pixel stroke today, so I'll show you how to do that. Make the icons as symmetrical as possible and always leave enough space between the shapes so that when you zoom out as far as you can, they still look mostly recognisable. Lastly, keep them simple, but not too simple. That's probably too many things to remember right now, but I will take you through all of them again while I'm designing the icons. You can always refer back to this section if you get stuck at any point. What you're going to want to do first is zoom in on the first artboard and turn on the grid using Command apostrophe. Before we can draw the icon, we need the right stroke width. So first, let's draw a simple rectangle. First, this will have a very thin stroke and a white fill, which you can see indicated in the bottom left down here. We need to turn off the fill. So with the rectangle selected, make sure the stroke and fill section is on fill and press the white box with the red cross line. Now with your rectangle still highlighted, go to Window, come all the way down and select Stroke. In this window we want to select the top right menu, press Show Options. Now increase the stroke width to 4 pixels, select the round cap, round corner and middle alignment. Your rectangle should now look like this. Okay, let's draw a house. I usually try to use as many compound shapes as I can, meaning rectangles, circles, stars, and other shapes that are pre-made in the software. But where I have to, I will use the line tool and draw things freehand. With that being said, let's now go to Window, Transform, and leave this window next to our artboard so that we can always see the size of the shapes that we're building. Now we'll move around and resize our rectangle to about this size. Remember, it's not an exact science with icons. They'll mostly be made using your eye to tell what looks good. I should say with all of my icons, I like to make sure they're aligned with the sides of the artboards in either the width or the height. If I'm lucky, it'll be both. This ensures they all look consistent throughout the set with each other. Now we want to draw the roof. So let's take the polygon tool over here, start drawing it, and while still holding down the mouse, we want to hold down the down key on the keyboard and turn it into a triangle. Continue to drag the triangle to about this size. Now we need to round the corners slightly, as most of the marketplaces prefer this style. To do this, highlight the triangle and drag the corners until you're happy with how they look. This part is very much based on your own taste of what looks good. Highlight the triangle and drag it to fit the sides of the artboard again. Make any adjustments to the bottom rectangle to match it up how you see fit. The next thing I'll do is create a small rectangle to represent a door and a small ellipse or circle to represent a window. Now highlight the corners of the rectangle and round them as well. I now make my final checks, ensuring the width and height are even numbers and nothing is outside of the artboard. We now have our first icon. So I'm just going to create one more before we move on to building the first set. This one is going to be a shop. For this one, I'm going to start with a rectangle again. I'm creating the roof first, then the wall of the shop. As you can see, I'm keeping this one as symmetrical as possible while also keeping it simple. Keeping it aligned to the grid while also keeping those corners rounded to give it that nice clean look. Just going to add some detail to the roof and then I'm done with this one. As you can see, the icon design process is fairly simple, especially if you have experience as a graphic designer already. So with that being said, let's move on to building a full set. I would suggest replaying that section a couple of more times just so you get the hang of it a bit better. Perhaps try some different icons such as a phone or a pencil to really get to know the process. Once you feel confident to go on and make some more icons, it's time to create your first set of 50. Using the techniques I've just shown you, go through your list and build your icons moving to the next board each time. Since I'm creating an essentials set, you can see I'm creating things like a phone, a computer and a laptop. I'll keep going along this theme until I reach 50 icons to complete my set. Now you should have your first full set of 50 icons like this. It's time to complete final checks of icon size by highlighting each one and checking the numbers are even and not decimal points inside of the transform window highlighted. Once this is done, you can start naming them. Select the artboard tab and begin naming them in a similar fashion to this. I should point out that I never use branded or copyrighted terms such as iPhone, Xbox, PlayStation, Microsoft, anything like that. I've had issues in the past with this, so would rather use phone, smartphone for a mobile phone, and something like console or games console for the Xbox. Also, because each icon is numbered, it's absolutely fine to use duplicate names. So if you do have multiple house designs, for example, feel free to call them all house. Once we have all of our artboards named, it's time to create an outline file and export them. Most marketplaces don't accept icons with a live stroke such as this one. What they actually want is an outline version, basically fills instead of strokes of each icon. This is a simple process but one you must do every time. To start with this, we'll duplicate our line folder containing our original icon file. Before we do that, we just need to actually put the file into a folder called essentials-line. We should have done this earlier really, but doing it now doesn't really hurt. So we need to keep the live stroke file for a few reasons. Mainly for creating other styles, but also just in case we need to edit the icons or if you intend to sell them further down the road to a place where the live stroke version is needed. So duplicate the line folder. Now that we have our folder duplicated, go ahead and name this folder essentials-line-export file and then open it up. All we're going to do is highlight all using Command A, go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. Then, with every icon still highlighted, go to Window, scroll down and find Pathfinder and select the Unite function. We're now ready to export. To export, you go to File, down to Export, Export for Screens. Now we're going to want to select all and untick Include Bleed. Find a directory which can be left where it is as this is the place we want to export them to. Click Create Subfolders, click Format, and now we need to choose our format. For this we'll be selecting SVG and pressing Export Artboard. This will now start the export process, which should take anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute depending on how good your computing power is. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphic, and the reason we have exported in SVG is because this is the format most marketplaces accept, as they are vector based, which makes them scalable, editable and exportable to any format, while they're also recognised by the majority of softwares. Now that these are exported, we'll do a quick check on them to make sure that nothing went wrong in the creation process that we might have missed, and that nothing went wrong in the export. I do this by highlighting the first icon and getting up a preview using the spacebar. I then check over it by eye, making sure nothing looks out of place. Most of the time there is nothing to worry about, but every now and then an icon will export with gaps in the outline, misshaped lines and other weird things like that. If you do find one with a cutout in the outline like this, it's an error that happens sometimes when converting from the live stroke to outline and nothing to worry about. Luckily it's rare and it's an easy fix. Just reopen the outline file, find the icon and remove the anchor points that are causing the issue, or fix any misshaped lines that you find and re-export the icon, overwriting the damaged one. Now that you've completed your final check and you are happy, you have your very first set of line icons ready to go. Now onto different styles. Creating more styles plays a huge role in the success of your icon portfolio. As mentioned earlier, this is a game of quantity, and the easier you can make it to build up a large quantity of icons in the shortest amount of time, the better. As graphic designers, we only have limited time, especially if you're doing this as your side hustle. This is why it's so important to maximize that time by growing your icon portfolio as fast as possible. This is where the styles come in. We always start with the line style, which is the style I've got you to start with today. This is because this is the only style that you can create all of the other styles from. The styles I'll be teaching you how to create are line, flat, and lineal color. You can feel free to create other styles such as black filled, gradient, and hand drawn, among others. The only reason I'll not be showing you these ones is because just as with the icons, the styles you create should be unique to you. Often it's the styles that define a creator's portfolio and really make you stand out. While this is true, the line, flat and lineal colour styles are used by just about everybody, and therefore they're almost considered the basic styles that a creator should have to offer. Something to consider: we don't want to go too crazy with this concept and create 10 to 20 different styles of one set. While providing multiple options to your customers is great, most marketplaces will only accept a certain amount of styles. For some it's 3, others it's 5, but I've yet to find a site that accepts more than 6. Okay, with all that explaining out of the way, it's time to create my favourite one, the flat style. This is my favourite for a few reasons, but the amount of creative freedom and the excitement this one gives me is the main reason. Let's start by duplicating our line folder. Make sure you're duplicating the folder that still has the live stroke file in it, as this is the one we'll be using. We need to rename the folder to essentials-flat and then go ahead and do the same thing with the file. Now we'll open up the file. Now that we're in our flat file, it's time to create our first flat icon. In other words, time to get creative. Since I designed my own set earlier, I'll be taking you through the steps using those, but please feel free to use as much creative expression as you can while converting your own set and coming up with your own colour scheme. Again, you'll be selling these, so it's important that you make them completely unique to you. I'm going to start with the first icon first, but often I'll choose to start somewhere else if another icon in the pack seems easier to fill in with colour. So, starting with my home icon, I'll usually take the biggest shape first, which happens to be the house frame. I start by selecting this shape and converting the stroke to a fill. Now double click the fill option and choose a colour. I'll be going for a light grey colour with a blue undertone. Once you're happy with your colour, press OK. Now you can see what it looks like against the white background. Keep in mind these icons will be displayed on a white background to customers, so it's important to make sure they stand out against the white colour. If you're not quite happy with your first pick, just open the colour selection back up and adjust it to your liking. Now we'll take the roof of the house and follow the same steps, first converting it to a fill and then choosing a colour. I'm going to go with a nice blue colour for this one. Next I'm going to give the window a similar blue fill. This time I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to speed things up. Start by selecting the circle and then going to the eyedropper tool, or simply press the I key. Now hover over the roof and click. This will give the window the same fill colour as the roof. Lastly, let's give the door a wooden brown colour. Adjust it until you're happy. The last step before we can move on to our next icon is making sure all shapes overlap to some degree. With icons, most marketplaces will want your flat icons to be overlapping in some way so that you don't get issues like this, and instead get something like this. To achieve this, we simply need to drag the anchor points of the bottom layer behind the top layer. For this home icon, it's simple enough. For more complex icons, we have to get creative in the way in which we overlap these shapes, often adding new anchor points to the shapes in order to drag them over each other. Now we have our first flat icon ready to go. So, using the colours I've just come up with and making some adjustments, I'll create the rest of my icon set like so, using the eyedropper tool where I can and going into the colour selector when necessary. As you can see here, I'm overlapping the shapes as I go. This is just a method I've found for speeding up the process. I'm also using different techniques to overlap shapes, such as putting a full shape behind smaller ones, adding anchor points onto the bottom layer, and then dragging them under the top layer. What you need to do now is continue with this method all the way through the set of 50 you've made until you have 50 flat icons. Once you have all 50 ready to go, it's time for final checks. On this one, I check for 2 things: that the shapes overlap and that there are no lines left. To check they're overlapping, simply highlight each icon one after the other and you'll see the shapes are overlapped. If you notice any that aren't, just fix those before exporting. Again, if we don't do this, you could end up with something like this when you export. So, with this error on the bell icon, I just drag the anchor points over one another to fix the issue. To check that there are no lines in the file, simply highlight all using Command A and check the fill and stroke boxes. There should be no strokes in the file. If there are, I usually follow the process of elimination, meaning I highlight each row until I find the culprit and then delete it. Once you're happy with those checks, it's on to exporting. For flat style, there are no live strokes, only fills, so we won't need to create a separate outlined export file. And since we duplicated the line file, all of the icons are already named. So we're going to go straight to File, scroll down to Export, Export for Screens, and since we did the last one, it should have saved your settings. If not, it's select all, create subfolders, file type is SVG, and then press Export. You should now have the SVG folder here. Now that these are exported, I'd again go through highlighting each icon and just do a visual check that nothing went wrong in the export process, and just make sure that you're not getting any of those white gaps that I showed you in the error earlier. Once you're happy with this, your first set of flat icons are ready to go. On to the next style. Okay, now that you have your flat style ready to go, let's move on to the easiest of the three styles, lineal color. Lineal colour is essentially just dropping the line style on top of the flat style to give the look of a filled outline. Luckily, we already have both of these styles made and ready to go. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is duplicate the flat style folder and change the name to essentials-lineal color. And then do the same thing for the file name. Now open up the file to get started. So what we're going to do is go to Window, scroll down and press Layers. What we should have is one layer called Icons. First we need to rename our Icons layer to Fills and then create a new layer by clicking this button. Rename this layer to Icons, then go to the menu at the top of the layer window and make sure that Paste Remembers Layers is active. Now let's go to the line file. Make sure you're opening up your live stroke line file, i.e. not the export file. We need to click on the first artboard, but as you can see, I've hidden my artboards. It's just a habit. If you've done this, it's Shift Command H. So click on the first artboard so that you're copying from that location. Highlight all of the icons using Command A and copy them to your clipboard with Command C. Now switch back to your flat file. Click on the same first artboard and use Command F or go to Edit, Paste in Place. These line icons should have pasted into the top layer named Icons. My only check for this set is that the colours are all visible behind the lines. If a colour is too dark, it will often blend in with the stroke colour and look like a half-filled icon. This is not something we want, so just go through and make sure there are no fill colours too close to the stroke colour. Now that we've completed our checks, it's time to create the outlined export file. We already know that it's important to keep the live stroke version, so as we did earlier with the line style, we duplicate the lineal color folder and add export file to the end of the name. Then open up your file. Instead of creating the outlines from these live strokes, I'm going to take them from the line style export file. Start by locking the fills layer and then select all line icons with Command A and delete them. Next, open up your line style export file and click the first artboard, use Command A again, selecting them all, then copy them across to the lineal color file. Clicking the first artboard and pasting them in. The only check for these are that there are only fills in the file, no live strokes. To do this, simply highlight them all and just check down here, making sure that the red line is through the white box on the stroke option. Now, exporting them, the bit that you're now a pro at. Go to File, come down to Export and Export for Screens. Again, hopefully the settings have saved. If not, here they are. Select all, create subfolders with formats. Location should be fine and choose SVG as the file type. So press Export Artboard. Now, since we duplicated the flat folder, it's going to ask us to replace the files from the flat export. This is fine, but next time it might be best to delete them before opening up the file, just to save some time here. So click Replace and it will start the export process. Final checks again, go into the SVG folder and just have a check through them, just highlighting each one and making sure there are no strange errors. Again, if there are, just open the file back up and correct them before re-exporting. That's it, you now have your main three styles: lineal color, flat and line style. And if you created 50 outlines, 150 icons are now ready to make you some money. Now is the time for you to do some of your own research into other icon styles. As mentioned earlier, there are styles such as black fill, gradient, or hand drawn, but whether or not you want to create these styles or any others that you think customers might like is completely up to you. You can absolutely make a good amount of money from just these 3 styles that I've shown you, but if you make, say, 2 more styles, the amount of icons you can put out in the same amount of time increases, since the line style takes the longest to make. Remember not to go too crazy with more styles though, as most places don't accept more than 5 or 6 styles. Before we move into the building a portfolio section, it's now time to decide just how many icons you want to make before creating your portfolio. You can just stick to the 150 plus essential icons that you've already made, or follow the steps you took to make that first set and create more icons using categories such as business, food, or whatever you come up with. As I said earlier, I created 1,000 icons before I even tried applying anywhere. I wanted to give myself the best odds for getting accepted as a seller. But since this is your personal journey, it is up to you to make that decision. I would suggest that you look at this as a time versus reward thing. The more time you have available to you, the more icons I would suggest you create for your portfolio. If you're limited with time, maybe make 200 icons. Well, this amount is not optimal, it will do to get you started. If you have more time, try for 500. Again, not the ideal amount, but enough to hopefully get you onto the first marketplaces. And if you do have enough time to go for 1,000, then absolutely do it, since this is the optimal amount for the best reward for your time. Remember, the more the merrier. That is Module 2 completed. You should now have a good grasp on choosing your icon topic, creating your first icon and then your first set, creating the varying styles, and deciding how many icons you want to make. See you in the next module. Welcome to Module 3. In this module, I'll be taking you through coming up with your branding, creating your portfolio, and discussing the idea of having a social presence. Before you create your portfolio to show off your shiny new icons, you first need a brand name. If you're a designer like me, you may have already established a brand for yourself. I, for example, had CJ Designs as my brand name. It's absolutely fine to use your name or a name similar to this as your contributor name. Many successful creators have done so. However, if you're brand new to this and you want a different name for your icon creator portfolio, then it's time to invent one. This is another case where you get to use your creativity to come up with a name that suits you. A quick look on the website Flat Icon on their author page shows you the names of other creators. As you can see, a lot of people will incorporate icons into their name, whereas others will simply use their full name. Once you've thought of a fun name, for example, I chose Juicy Fish. I know, weird, right? I recommend doing a Google search for that name with the words flat icon at the end, and then doing the same thing with Icon Finder at the end, just to make sure no other icon designer has your chosen name. This might also be a great time to check on domain hosting websites such as GoDaddy or 1&1 to see if anyone else is using your name in their website domain. You might eventually decide to create your own online shop where customers can purchase your icons directly off of you. So it's a good idea to just check that name is free before choosing it. You don't want to come to create your own website and find that you can't actually get the domain that you would like to use. Once you have your name, fire up the creative engines and get started on a nice clean logo. This can be something as simple as using one of your new icons or coming up with something a little bit more complex. This part is completely up to you. As an example, here's a logo I mocked up earlier for an example brand name I came up with, Cloud Icons. I've done this in an Illustrator file with a 512 by 512 pixel artboard. I've done this within a circle just to make sure it fits within most website profile pictures. As with the brand names, some contributors will use profile pictures of themselves. This is absolutely fine, just make sure it's a professional looking image. We want the best chances of getting accepted to these marketplaces as we can give ourselves. Remember, once you start to get some popularity on these websites, it becomes a lot harder to change your brand name as you'll want your customers to recognise you. So make sure you like the sound of it. The logo is a bit easier to change. The first step of creating your own portfolio is deciding where to set it up. I personally chose Behance, but you can even create a new profile on Instagram and upload your images there. What you're looking for is something that's free or very cheap to use to show off your work in image form. So let's take Behance for this example. Before we sign up and begin, let's create our portfolio images. For Behance, I've created an Illustrator file which you can now download with the image size ready, and if you're not using Illustrator, then all you need to do is create a file with the artboard pixel size of 1400 pixels wide. The height can be unlimited, but for a nice rectangular image, I go for 1100 pixels high. What you now need to do is come up with a creative way of showing off your icons. Here's some examples that I like. These are really simplistic, repeatable ways of showing the world what you've made. You really don't need to show a full set in each image, just a taster of what the set includes will do fine. I suggest making as many images as possible. I would say at least 15 to 20 or more, showing off as many of your icons as you can, remembering that the more you show, the more your chances of getting accepted go up. Really show the different styles, and if you have them, categories, to give the marketplaces a good idea of what you can do. Once you have these images ready, you're almost good to go. Since you already have a logo made, the only thing left to complete your profile is a banner image. A banner image will give your profile a more complete and professional look. Here's a couple of examples of good banner images. Again, this is the part where you come up with your own design. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Often with a good banner image, less is more. A bit of blank space really doesn't hurt. There's another downloadable Illustrator file with a banner image sized artboard. Again, if you don't have Illustrator, the artboard size you'll need is 3200 pixels wide by 410 pixels high. Now that we have everything ready, it's time to create our profile on Behance. So go to the behance.net website. Once that's loaded, go to the sign up button. Fill out the sign up form like so, adding an email address, first and last name, a password, and your month and year of birth. Select a topic that you're interested in just to get this out of the way, so I'm just going to go for graphic design. Once you have successfully signed up and verified your email, it's time to create your portfolio. So click on your profile image and it will take you to your page. Go to edit profile. The first thing that we're going to do is upload a profile picture. Let's start by uploading your logo as your profile image. Crop that and hit save. You then need to add a first and last name. This can be your new branded name or your personal name. For this example, I'm just going to use my made up branded name, Cloud Icons. Now go to the About Me section and just add a little personal message. Something like this will do. You're just trying to show a bit of personality to anybody who visits your portfolio and show that you mean business. With that done, come out of the edit page by clicking the Back to Profile button. Now you can add your banner image. Click on the Add Image button and upload your new banner. Your profile should look something like this. You're now going to want to upload your icon display images one at a time. To do this, click the Share Your Work button or Create a Project. Click on Image and find your first image. Upload it and press Continue. Add a project title, something like Essentials Line Icons, and then add a couple of tags, things like icons, icon set, SVG icons, and essentials. Select Graphic Design and hit Publish. That's it. Your first item of your portfolio is uploaded. So repeat the same process for all of the other icon images that you've created until you have uploaded all of them. I'm just going to upload the flat and linear styles that I've made, but please feel free to upload as much as you physically can to fill out your portfolio. Feel free to make any adjustments to your logo, banner image, About Me section, or your images of your icons, just until you're happy. Once this is done, your portfolio is complete and ready to go. On to the next lesson. Do you need a social media presence? Well, social media platforms provide a great source of entertainment for the general public, but they also serve as channels to sell and market your products. For most businesses, it is essential to have a social media presence in this day and age. It helps keep your brand relevant and promotes engagement with your audience, as well as increases sales of your products. All of these are amazing benefits of a social media presence. The downside to running a social media account for your business is that it takes time, a lot more time and effort than you might think. As we talked about earlier, time is our greatest asset when trying to start a side hustle or new business. The difference with the stock graphic business model that I am teaching you is that the marketplaces actually promotes your products for you. What you'll find with every platform is they each take a percentage cut of sales. This is because they're giving you access to their sometimes multi-million person audience, including email lists and subscription buyers who will be tailored specifically to your products. They essentially bring the audience to you. Realistically, in the stock asset world, you can make a very good amount of money with absolutely no social media presence or marketing capabilities. So short answer, if you have the time spare and are willing to put in the hard work, then yes, it's certainly not going to hurt and can increase visibility to customers and therefore increase sales. But if you don't have the time, it's absolutely not necessary for a stock asset business model. So that's Module 3 completed. You should now have your own branding, your shiny new portfolio up and running, and some good information on whether or not to build social media channels. On to the next module. Welcome to Module 4. In this module, I'll be taking you through keywords. I'll start with explaining what they are and why they matter. I'll then show you how to come up with them, and finally how I store these keywords for future use. Before we jump into approaching the various different websites to start selling on, it's important to explain keywords. You'll need these keywords to upload your icons to various sites. What I'm really doing by getting you to export your icons and create keywords up front is making sure you have everything ready to go so that when you come to a website that you can upload to straight away, you can go ahead and send them over. So let me break down keywords. They're a crucial piece of the puzzle when it comes to selling anything online. Keywords, otherwise known as hashtags or just simply tags, are the way in which a buyer will find your product on a search engine or marketplace. They are the words that someone will search that will lead them to your product. Without good keywords, your products will essentially be invisible on the marketplaces. A good way to think of these tags is like Instagram hashtags. Users will enter search words, and if you have tagged your pictures well, they'll come across them straight away as you will be top of the search result. It's the same thing for icons. For every icon you upload, you must add some tags to give it the exposure it needs to sell. Just to give you an example, for that home icon I designed earlier, I would need to come up with tags that I think a user who is looking for a house icon would search. So if I put myself in the mind of a user looking for that icon, I might search things like house, home, building, real estate, architecture, and things like that. So as you can see, I've covered quite a few bases there while still being specific to the icon. Because the thing that you don't want to do is litter it with too many tags that aren't necessarily relevant. This will actually have the opposite effect and cause your icon to be difficult to find. So for the house icon, if I started adding things like family, user, app, button, or even something completely off topic like ice cream, this would have the reverse effect to what we want. Because of this issue though, most of the marketplaces have a limit on the number of tags you can add to an icon. For example, Icon Finder's limit is 7, same with Icon Scout, and a website I'll be showing you is Noun Project, who has a tag limit of 5, and Flat Icon, the best website I've found for earning income, has a limit of 9. So it's important that the small number of tags you use are strong ones. The other thing to keep in mind is that you will be using the same tags for all of the styles, so you shouldn't use things that specifically represent one style. For example, if in flat style your house is blue, don't add the word blue to the icon, as this won't be usable for the line style. On to the next lesson. Now that you know what keywords are, how do we come up with them? Well, I started by looking at the keywords that were attached to the icons that came up in the top of the search results for icons similar to what I was uploading. So, back to the home icon example. Let's have a quick search on Flat Icon to see what tags other people are using. If we search home, click on the first one and scroll right down, we will get to see what tags have been added to this icon. What you'll notice is that they are all relevant to the icon and could all very well be something a buyer would search. Next, I would fire up Icon Finder and have a quick look on here as well. Do the same thing, search for home, click on one of the top ones and look at what tags they've used. For this one, you can see they've used a couple of different tags, but not too many, all relevant to the icon though. Now hopefully this has given you a good idea as to what tags should be included with your icons. As I've been saying throughout this course, time is your number one asset in this business. Anywhere we can save time, we should. You may have noticed that the process I've just shown you is not very efficient when tagging hundreds of icons. What happened with me is that once I had figured out the first 10 to 20 icons using this method, the creative side of my brain, which if you're following this course I know you have too, managed to figure it out with the rest. I found that once I had an idea of the tags that were needed, I could come up with the tags for all the other icons off of the top of my head. If you do get stuck on any tags for specific icons though, you can absolutely use this method that I've just shown you to find some relevant tags. On to the next lesson. So, now you know how to come up with the tags, what you'll need is a list of these tags to make everything faster once you start approaching multiple other websites. The way I do this is to create a very basic spreadsheet. This can be done in Excel or if you're on a Mac, the Numbers app. You can also do this in a Notes app or Word document, but I've always found it most effective and honestly easier in a spreadsheet app. To give you an example of this, I am going to come up with some tags for the set that I made earlier. You can then use this example to come up with your own tags for your icon sets. So, taking essentials, let's open up a new file in Excel, and what we're going to do is go over to the folder that the icons are in, go into any of the styles. I'm just going to go for the top one, go into the SVG folder that we exported earlier and highlight all of them. Copy these and then go to your spreadsheet and paste them in the first column. Starting from the top in the column just to the right, I now start to add tags to each individual icon. One tip is to have the icon folder up next to the spreadsheet so that you can check what the icons look like. This will give some visual cues when coming up with tags. So, for the home icon, I'll add those tags I mentioned earlier. A quick note, you will need to separate each tag with a comma so that marketplaces know when to separate the words into a new tag, and don't create one long tag. So, I'm going to write home, house, building, real estate, and architecture. In terms of the number of tags, because Noun Project wants the smallest amount of tags of all of the marketplaces, being 5, I always write down exactly 5. This makes it much easier when uploading onto the different websites as I don't have to delete any when putting them in different places. Also, the other websites are more than happy with 5 tags, so you don't have to worry that you haven't written enough. Now that I've tagged my first icon, it's time to go ahead and tag the rest. Before we go any further though, let's save this file in case of a computer crash. The last thing that we want is to have half of our icons tagged and then the file gets somehow deleted and we need to start again. Just another aspect of time saving. So I'm going to hit save and choose a directory. What I'm going to do is create a new folder in my icons called tag files. In here I'll create a subfolder called 1-essentials-tags. Go ahead and save the spreadsheet here with the name essentials tags. On to the rest of the tags. My next icon was a shop icon. For this one, I'm going to add tags such as shop, store, commerce, shopping, corner shop. On that last one, I added a tag that was a double word. Because you don't want to repeat yourself when tagging, if you have a tag that combines 2 words, one of which you already used, you can create a 2-word tag and put both words in between commas instead of adding commas after each one. Let me just do one more with you before I speed up the video and take you on to the next step. The next icon I have is a mobile phone. I tend to steer away from using any tags that could be copyright protected words. Same thing as the icon names, I had a few issues with this in the past, so I just add words that are more general. For this icon I'm going to add mobile, phone, cell, cellular device and smartphone. So, with 3 icons tagged, you should now have a good enough idea to create the tags on your own icon set. I will now speed up this part of the video to save you some time. Once you have your tags ready to go, it's time to upload them. So, that's module 4 completed. We covered what keywords are, why they matter, how to come up with them, and finally, how to store them for future use. With that being said, let's move on to the next module. Welcome to module 5. In this module, I will be taking you through approaching marketplaces, starting with the easiest ones first and working our way through, and at the same time I will show you how to upload your icons. As I've mentioned, there are many stock asset marketplaces that want sellers to join their platforms. After all, the more icons they can provide for their customers, the more money they will make. Some websites are easier to become a seller on than others. Certain websites you can get on with just a portfolio page, the same one we set up earlier. For others, your chances increase once you become a seller on other platforms as they can see you've proven yourself elsewhere, so have more trust in your abilities. With this in mind, let's start with the easiest platforms to get on first. So the one I'm going to walk you through is called Icon Scout. So fire up your web browser and go to iconscout.com. As you can see, they have a variety of different assets that you can upload and sell. Obviously, we're going with icons. And just have a look around, let's click here and see what other sellers are offering. Here you can see that there are a lot of icons on here already, but this by no means is an overcrowded market yet. There are still millions of icon ideas that haven't been done yet, waiting for you to be the one that creates them. So if we go back to the home page and scroll right down to the bottom, you'll see a link that says Sell on Icon Scout. Click that one. If you scroll down, you'll see features of selling with Icon Scout. As you can see, they offer a great royalty of 70%. They don't expect exclusivity, which I'll break down in a second. There's an easy upload system, sales analytics, and easy payouts, all of which I've personally found to be true. So, what does the exclusivity thing mean? Well, it's rare that a marketplace will ask for this, but certain ones will expect that their website is the only one that you sell your graphic assets on. This is something that I personally never agree to. One of the best parts of the stock asset business model is that you can resell your icons over and over again. By selling them on different marketplaces, you reach brand new audiences that may have never seen your icons before, therefore increasing your income and generating more income streams. You may also want to create your own website in the future where you sell your own icons. So you need to retain the rights to sell your icons wherever you please and never give them away to somebody else. With that being said, let's sign up to becoming a contributor. Scroll back up and click Become a Contributor. The first time you press this, we'll need to create an account with Icon Scout. I'll be doing this using the Sign Up with an Email button. So go ahead and sign up with your email. Once you've signed up, it should take you back here. So again, click on the Become a Contributor button, which this time will take you to this online form. You're going to want to fill this out by writing your name, email address. Your niche is an icon designer, and then add a link to your portfolio that we made earlier. Do this by going to Behance, going to your profile at the top right, copying the link from the top, and then pasting it in. You can also link your social media account, but as highlighted, this is not required. This is where you type in the brand name that you came up with earlier. As you can see, they say you cannot change this in the future, so just make sure you're happy with it. Once that's all filled out, give it a check over and make sure you are happy and press submit. Obviously, I'm already a seller, so I'm not going to do this part, but now we wait to see if we are accepted. This should take anywhere from a few days to a week, so just keep an eye on those emails. In the meantime, let's apply to another website to see if we can get accepted there. The next one we'll go for is Icon Finder. Becoming a seller on Icon Finder is a little bit different to Icon Scout, in that you don't have to submit your portfolio or give any proof of you being a seller already. All you actually need to do is upload the icons that you made earlier, and if they meet the technical and visual guidelines, which I taught you earlier, then they'll be accepted and you'll become a seller and be able to upload as many as you can make. So it's time for me to teach you how to upload your icons. On to the next lesson. So, now that we've applied to our first website, Icon Scout, let's try to get on another fairly easy one, Icon Finder. Since applying to become a contributor on this website involves uploading your icons, this one is kind of a 2-for-1 lesson, uploading and applying. To start, let's go to iconfinder.com. If you scroll down to the Become a Contributor section of their website, you'll see they have very similar features, again, all of which I've found to be true. Now that we're here, let's press the Start Uploading Content button. You now need to sign up for an account with Icon Finder using this form, filling out your name, email address, password. Make sure you accept the terms. The second checkbox is up to you. Now press Sign Up. I'm not going to actually sign up since I'm already a contributor here. Once you've signed up, you should be automatically taken here. For uploading icons, you need to upload the individual styles separately. I usually start with the flat icons first. This is only really because they're at the top of the list. So go to your icons folder and into Essentials and into the flat folder. Now drag and drop the icons into the window. If you're not comfortable with dragging and dropping, then feel free to click the upload panel, navigate to your icons, select them all, and then click Submit Files. Whichever way you did it, this will start an upload process. You should get a little message down here just saying that all your files were uploaded successfully. Just give them a very quick check over to make sure they're all there. Now press submit files, which should take you to a new screen where you'll see this progress bar and the words analyzing submission. Wait for that to finish, and once it does, you'll be taken to this screen. You want to press Premium Pack and then scroll down to Pack Details and type a name for your pack. For me, I've just written Essentials-Flat, then add a description. I would type something like Essentials Icons in a flat style. You don't need anything crazy, just something a bit longer than the title. Now we need to select a family, which is Icon Finder's word for styles. Because this is your first set, you'll need to create a new family. And since we're uploading the flat style first, let's create a flat family. Type flat in here and press enter. Now we need to set a price for the full set. I usually go for something around $20. It's rare someone buys a full set, but this is a reasonable price in my opinion if they do. People usually buy single icons, which Icon Finder sets the price of. Okay, so press next. You're now at the tagging stage. So we need to shrink this window over here and open up our keyword spreadsheet that we made earlier right next to it. At the time of recording this, there was an issue with Icon Finder where the icons weren't in the order that I made them in, so they didn't line up with the spreadsheet perfectly. This is only a pain really because it means that we have to search out each icon in the tags. It's not a massive issue and hopefully it'll be fixed by the time you're uploading your icons to make things a little bit faster. So, start copying and pasting the keywords in next to the matching icon, pressing enter as you go. I'm just going to speed through this bit just to save us all some time, but you get the general gist. Just keep going, entering tags on every icon until you've given every single icon a tag. Have a quick check over them to make sure you're happy with your tags. Now click complete submission. And that's it. That is our first icon submission finished. What I do now is go back and upload the remaining styles of the same set. So if at any point you get stuck during that process, just go back and re-watch this lesson. Once you've done it a few times, it gets very quick and easy. Now that we have uploaded to Icon Finder, let's move on to the next website, the Noun Project. In this lesson, I'm going to show you step by step how the Noun Project uploads work. I'll take you through signing up and then uploading and tagging your icons so you can upload your first set to the Noun Project. Most of the marketplaces have a very similar upload process to Icon Finder and Noun Project, with a few differences in each one which you'll notice as you work through them. So let's navigate to the nounproject.com website and go to the three dots up here at the top and go to Submit Icons. Click the Start Uploading button and click on Create an Account. As with the others, you just got to fill up the sign up form with your email and password. Check these boxes, fill out the captcha and create your account. You'll now come to this screen. As you'll notice, there is a little error message here saying that you need to add your personal details and you need to verify your email address. So just go to your profile at the top right and add your name in, and then go ahead and verify your email address. They should have sent you an email just with a link to verify, so just follow that link and verify your email. Once done, you should see this screen with no errors. So scroll down and go to upload icons, and we're going to be uploading a collection, so click on that. Here you'll see how many icons you can currently upload. Because it's your first submission, right now you'll only be able to send 50 over, but once you have been accepted and a few sets have gone through, they'll continue to update this figure per submission, so keep that in mind. Noun Project is the only icon website that currently has such limits in place though, so that's a positive. Also to note with Noun Project, they only accept 3 styles: line, black and white, and hand-drawn. If you only have line icons created out of these 3 styles, that's absolutely fine. You can always create the other styles in the future and upload them then. But for right now, since there's a 50 icon limit anyway, we only really need line icons. So type in a collection title. For me, it's Essentials-Line. Click Create a Collection and navigate to your Line Icons SVG folder. Grab them all with Command A and then drag and drop your icons in here. They should all load up like this. This is where your spreadsheet comes in handy. So again, shrink this window down a bit and then go to your tag spreadsheet and open it up side by side with the Noun Project window. The only difference with this site is that they want a title for each of your icons. This makes the process a little bit longer, but they pay fairly well, so I find this worth it. So start by adding a title. For this one, it's house, so I just type that in. Then over to the spreadsheet, copy and paste in the tags from your spreadsheet. that is your first icon tagged. I'll do the same for the next one. So this one is shop, and I'll just go ahead and grab those tags, paste them in, and so on and so forth. Again, for time saving purposes, I'm just going to speed up me tagging all of these icons. As you can see, I'm flipping back and forth between the website and the tags. You may find faster ways of doing this, such as naming them all first and then adding the tags after. Whatever works for you is absolutely fine. There is no set in stone way of doing this. Once you have all of those icons tagged, we can press submit, and we should get a success message just to let us know that they've been submitted. However, if you get any issues like forgetting to add a title or adding the tags in wrong, you won't be able to submit them. So you'll just have to scroll back through, find the mistakes and correct them. I just had to add some tags to one icon here. Once any mistakes are corrected, you can go ahead and submit the icons. So this is the application for the Noun project done. You now have to wait and see if they accept you, which should take around 1 week to 1 month. If they do, you'll be able to upload more of your icons and get started on making some Noun project money. On to the next lesson. Hopefully by now, or very soon, Icon Scout will have accepted you as a contributor. Assuming this is the case, in this lesson I'll walk you through uploading to Icon Scout. If this is not the case yet, then you can skip this one and come back later to re-watch this lesson. The Icon Scout upload process is almost identical to Icon Finder, with only a few changes, but to make sure this is a full and complete guide, I'll take you through it now. So let's navigate to iconscout.com and log in with your contributor details. We want to go to Contributors Dashboard and go to My Icons, click on Upload New. The same as the other sites, you can either drag and drop onto here or click on the box and find the icons manually. Once you've done either of these, you should get this progress bar. Once they are uploaded, you should be taken to this screen. Here you can start adding tags to your icons in the same way as with the others. Icon Scout has quite good recommended tags in case you don't like some of the ones you've written down. Either way, let's go ahead and grab the tags to start uploading. The same as earlier, shrink your window and get your spreadsheet up and start copy and pasting your tags across into the corresponding icons. Do this all the way through the set like so. Interestingly, Icon Scout has the same issue as Icon Finder at the time of recording this, so the icons aren't in order. I've messaged the Icon Scout support team to work on a fix for this, so hopefully by the time you upload your icons, this will be sorted. Once they're all tagged, you can click on Submit to bring up this window. Same as with Icon Finder, you want to add a name, being Essentials Flat. Make sure it's set to Premium and add a description again. Choose a bundle. Bundle is Icon Scout's version of styles, the same way that Families is Icon Finder's version of styles. Once you've selected your bundle, you can now press Submit and your first set of icons has been submitted to Icon Scout. Follow this process again to upload the rest of your styles and sets, referring back to this lesson if at any point you get stuck. The last website I'm going to take you through fully in the next lesson is Flaticon, my personal biggest earner. The other marketplaces that I give you are all straightforward and follow very similar processes, so to save making this course 10 hours long, I'll just give you the other websites in a list. On to Flaticon. So, on to Flaticon we go. This one is the big dog, my highest and most consistent earner. Because of this, Flaticon has always had the most potential for making a full-time living from icon design. For me, they've always paid out a similar amount of money each month and have always paid the most out of any marketplace, making it a great way to build a reliable income. Alongside this, their contributor support team is fantastic and their customer base is very large and loyal. Once you're a contributor, you get access to all of this. Flaticon also do a great job of marketing themselves and your icons, meaning you get more downloads and make more money without having to lift a finger. Just upload them once and make money continuously. This is why I've saved this one for last in terms of which ones to apply to, because this is the most important one of all of the marketplaces. If you have successfully got onto the other websites, you can use the links to your portfolios on them as part of your application process, giving you an even higher chance of getting accepted. So with that in mind, let's apply to become a contributor on Flaticon. First, let's Google Flaticon Contributor FAQ and click on this top link. Here you'll get an idea of what they are expecting when you apply, so I'd suggest just having a quick read through some of this just to get the gist of the type of icons that they want. You can see here just how many icons they want to see. The more you submit, the better your chance of getting accepted will be. There is a lot of content on this page, such as how you'll get paid, information on plagiarism, and if you scroll right down, you'll also notice there is a time period to submit your icons. You have 40 days once you have registered your account, so I would suggest getting everything ready to go before you create your account. So, once you've had a good read of this page and are happy with all of this, then let's go to flaticon.com and get you applying. Scroll right down to the bottom where you'll see there Become a Contributor section. You should see this button here saying Register and Activate Your Account. So click on that. Go up to Projects at the top and click on Flat Icon. Scroll right down again and you'll see you have these two options. The one I'm going to be showing you is the Contributor model to the left. The Exclusive Designer model is essentially a model where you create icons exclusively for Flaticon and they buy them off you for an upfront agreed upon fee. This can be $1, $2, if you create exceptional work, maybe even $3. From this model, you can earn a very good monthly recurring income, and since Flaticon are so considerate of their contributors, you also get a lot of creative freedom with this model. It's a great option for those who want to know exactly how much money they're getting each month. Two things to keep in mind with this model though. One, it's a lot harder to be accepted as an exclusive designer than a pay-per-download contributor. Since they're buying these off you up front to sell, they need to meet very high quality conditions. The second thing to think about is that in this course I'm teaching you how to create passive income streams. The great thing with the exclusive model is that you can earn a very consistent income each month. The downside is you give up the rights to the icons you make for good. This means you can't resell them anywhere else and therefore can't make passive income off of your icons. They also require you to make a certain amount of icons for them each month. So again, this is not actually passive. You would still be working each month on them. So, since I'll be taking you through the pay-per-download contributor model today, let's select contributor. As you can see, these are the steps to applying that I'll be taking you through, and down here you can have a read of other contributors' feedback if you're interested to. So, let's scroll back up and click Join Now and sign up for an account using this form. Try to think of a username relevant to your brand. You could even use your actual brand name. I'm already a contributor, so I'm just filling this out with example text for now. Once you're done, hit sign up and you should be taken to this page. If you're having this issue like I was, switch over to another browser like Google Chrome. This is something I probably should have done before starting the application process. I just know that Safari can be buggy with Flaticon. So in future, when you're on Flaticon or doing any kind of uploading, it's probably best to use Chrome. So you should now be presented with this terms and conditions agreement. Have a read through and if you're happy, click accept. Now we need to fill out the application to become a contributor. So first step is to choose an avatar. I left mine like this for this recording, but you can use that logo that you came up with earlier. It's probably best to. The public author name is the brand name that you came up with, so I'm typing in Cloud Icons. Choose a country, mine is United Kingdom. This section here is where our portfolio that we made earlier will come in handy. So navigate to Behance, get the profile link and paste it into the box here. For this bit, just make sure your language is set to the one that you prefer. Now we're on to the professional portfolios. If you're on Icon Finder and Noun Project, now is the time to get the links to your portfolios and paste them in here. Showing such proof of you being on other sites will massively improve your chances of being accepted, so it's a great idea to make sure you're on at least one of those before applying. Here you can add your social links. This isn't completely necessary, but if you have some that you'd like to share, it's definitely not going to hurt. Once all that is done and you've checked it over, press next. Here you'll find the contributor's handbook. It's definitely a good idea to give that a quick once over. It simply highlights what Flaticon are looking for in terms of best icon design practices. So back to the application. Click on the Start Uploading button and you'll be taken to this page. This is the Contributor Hub, a page that you'll become very familiar with once you get accepted. This is where you'll come to upload your icons, view their status, view your download stats, sign any agreements you have to, and things like that. So it's time to upload your icons. Start by navigating to your icons folder and grab your first set. I usually drop in the flat style first, but it doesn't really matter what order you do this in. Drop in the other styles, just flipping back and forth between the website and your folders. Now add a name to these packs. For Flaticon, you need to use the same name for each set, so don't worry about adding a style to the end. Once they are done, press upload. As you can see, they are now in the not yet submitted section. This means they still need tagging before you can finish uploading them. So I'm going to start with the flat style first. Click on the thumbnail and you'll be taken to the tagging page. First, you need to tag the whole set. Since this is Essentials, I'm going to go for Essentials, UI, User Interface. Flat Icon have a really neat feature when tagging your icons. Because they have such an extensive library of icons on their platform, they show you similar icons to yours based on your first tag, which you can then copy the tags from those similar icons straight onto your icon. So since typing in our keywords, we now have some icons here. So let's just have a quick look around at what tags other people are using. I'm just going to add these two tags to the end here. 5 tags is enough for a category really, but the more the better, so feel free to go right the way to 9. Some sets are easier to tag than others. Once this is done, we now need to choose a category for these icons. Select this drop down and have a scroll through. This will need to be different for every time you upload a new set. If I can't find the type of set that I'm after in this list, I've always just gone for miscellaneous, and that tends to work. Since this is Essentials and therefore quite random, I'll go for that one now. Once you've chosen that, hit the copy and paste all button to fill out the category on every icon with the same one. Now we have the category tagged, let's move on to the icons. Each icon needs a main tag, 3 to 9 other tags, and a category tag. We've already got the category tag, so I always start with the 3 to 9 tags first because this is where you'll get suggestions. I'm going to write house and see what comes up. As you'll see, many different icons that look similar pop up. So click on one of these, click on copy, and then paste them in. We just need to add that main tag to finish this one off. The main tag cannot be within your other tags already, so delete the first tag and write it up here in the main tag. And that's it. Our first icon is tagged. I'll just take you through one more before I speed things up. This one is a shop, so let's type shop into the tag section. Click one of the shop icons that pops up, copy and paste them in, delete shop from the start, and then add that to the main tag. As you can see, this is quite quick and easy to grasp, so just continue using the same methods to tag the rest of your icons, going over to the next page every 10 and hitting save as often as possible. We don't want to refresh and lose those tags. Another tip is to check at the top that there are the amount of icons that you expect to see after you finish a page of 10. So for example, after I finish tagging icon number 40, there should be 40 at the top here. Once you've finished tagging all of these, there should be the total number of icons in the set up here. Now, before we move off of this screen, I need to point out that it's really important that you don't submit the flat style until you've successfully tagged all of the other sets. Using the flat style upload, we can duplicate these tags onto the other styles, saving us huge amounts of time, and this will not work if we submit the flat style before doing this. So, to do this, let's go to the return button and then return again, which will take us back here. I will then right click on each set and open them up in new tabs, remembering to not submit the flat style yet. For our first style, let's go to the first tab. Click on the tag and wait for that to open. Go to Search Equivalent Icons button. This is where our flat style should pop up. Click on the flat style and click Apply Tags to Current Pack. This should auto tag all of the icons and bring you to this screen. So go to the next tab and repeat the process until all of your styles are tagged. When doing this, you'll notice that other styles pop up in the Search Equivalent screen. I always select the flat style, just to make sure that I'm duplicating tags from the one that I did so that there's no mishaps. Now that we're done, let's submit them one at a time. Click on each tab and press Send to Revision. Wait for it to complete, then go to the next tab, repeating the process. Once this is done, you have officially uploaded your first set flat icon and your application is complete. You now need to wait for a response to see if you've been accepted or not. When I applied all those years back, it took them roughly 2 weeks to accept me as a contributor on their marketplace, so hopefully you can expect a very similar response time, but it depends on how busy their team are at the time. The good thing is, as soon as you've been accepted, they'll upload your icons and you will start making money straight away. So that's module 5, and the marketplace I'm going to be showing you completed. In the next module, I'll be teaching you how to expand and maintain your business so that you can live off this income for the rest of your life. No more 9 to 5. See you there. Welcome to Module 6. In this module, I'll be taking you through expanding your business through creating more icons, potentially outsourcing, and the possibility of making your own store. So, you have your first load of icons on a few different websites, and you should shortly see a few sales and a bit of passive income coming your way. This is amazing. But for someone who wants a steady stream of dependable income, you need to expand your business. As I've mentioned a few times in this course, quantity is key, both in the number of icons you make and in the amount of marketplaces you sell on. It's very important though to remember that the quality of your icons should remain consistently high. I'm not saying they need to be absolute perfection, but the marketplaces will expect a certain level of quality icons from you, so it's important to keep that quality up as you ramp up your quantity output. 1000 perfect icons would obviously be better than 2000 average quality icons, but since you have little time and won't be able to produce thousands of 100% perfect icons, the number you can actually make will be much lower. Therefore, 1500 good icons are better than 10 perfect ones. What I'm trying to say is that while of course you have to keep the technical build of the icons to a high level to meet the marketplace requirements, visually, every icon doesn't have to be the best icon you've ever made. Design is very subjective and everyone's opinion on artwork is different. I've made icons that I thought would never sell that turned out to be some of my best sellers. With that in mind, you're going to have to accept the fact that you will prefer the look of some icons you make over others, and therefore can't delete every icon you don't quite like the look of, as someone on that marketplace might be looking for just that one. Remember, a high quantity output takes time, so use it as best as you can. In terms of expanding your amount of icons, the obvious way is to create more line icons and continue to convert them into your other styles. This is the approach that I personally take. The other way to increase the amount of icons you have is to create new styles. Looking at what trends are happening at the time and creating your own style versions. I wouldn't go too crazy with this though, as you already know, most places only accept a certain number of styles from each person. Once you get to 5 or 6 styles, that's generally the limit. So, expanding onto other marketplaces. While there are many other marketplaces for you to sell your icons on, I've shown you some of my favourites already, the main one being Flat Icon. But there are other sites out there, including ones that I already have all my icons on, and ones that I haven't even had a chance to test out yet. Here's a list of all the marketplaces that I currently sell on. We have Icon Finder, Icon Scout, Noun Project, Flat Icon, which are the ones that I've gone through with you. I also have Adobe Stock, Shutterstock, Icons 8, UI 8, Creative Market and Etsy. All of which I've either sold on before or I'm currently selling on. Other than Creative Market and Etsy, these ones have very similar upload processes to the other ones, so I felt it was unnecessary to include tutorials on uploading to all of these, as you now have enough of an idea of how to apply to get on with these yourself. With Creative Market, it is notoriously a very difficult platform to get on, and the same with Etsy. You have to bundle up your icons, make product images, create your own store and do the marketing yourself. It's almost like having your own website. This is why I haven't gone into great detail on these two in this course, because the model I'm showing you is meant to be a no marketing, quick and easy way to make some passive income. Creative Market, Etsy and even setting up your own store on your own website takes a lot more time, effort and marketing expertise. This doesn't mean you should never upload to these places or create your own store. I would just suggest increasing your income on the easier to manage marketplaces first, then move on to these ones once you have a stable foundation and can spare more time. If these marketplaces are something you'd be interested in learning about fully, then leave me some feedback and let me know that this is something you'd like to see. I can always add more in-depth tutorials for both of these to the course in the future. Other sites that I know other designers upload to but I haven't tested out for myself are Yellow Images, By People, Graphic River, Template Monster, Envato Elements and Getty Images. I'm sure there are plenty more marketplaces out there that I haven't even heard of, and there will always be new ones popping up from time to time. So don't stop at the ones I've shown you. Make sure to do your own research over time and spread your icon portfolio as far and as wide as you can. The more sites you sell on, the more money you make. See you in the next one. So, on to outsourcing. I didn't really want to go too in-depth in outsourcing in this course. This course was much more for the person who wanted to start a side hustle or full-time business with minimal to no financial investment. For the person who, like me when I started, cannot afford the upfront costs usually associated with entrepreneurship. For the model I've shown you, you only need basic graphic design skills and time. But for the purpose of providing a full, in-depth and complete overview of running an icon business, I will now take you through this lesson in how you can outsource the work to save you time. Outsourcing your icon design can be pricey, but it can save you a lot of time. Designing the icons, especially the line style, is definitely the most time-consuming part of the whole process. This is the bit that I would recommend outsourcing if that's the path that you want to go down. So, where do I start? Well, I've personally used the website Fiverr to outsource some of my icon work in the past. Fiverr is a great resource for finding freelance professionals at an affordable price. You can find people that cover almost any online job, so finding a specific icon designer really isn't that hard. So let's go to fiverr.com and have a quick look. If I type in icon designer, you'll see a whole host of results come up. As you can see, just looking at a few of these, it is very expensive. And let's just take a look at this one. As you can see, they're charging £8.71 for a single icon, which you might not even get the resale rights to. Looking down in the description, it isn't mentioned anywhere. If you're going to do this, you really have to make sure that you're getting the commercial rights to resell these icons. Otherwise, you won't be able to sell them on the marketplaces. So let's just have a quick look at one more. The prices are a bit better on this one. As you can see, you can get 5 icons for the price of £13.06. That's £2.70 per icon. The only thing again is there's no mention of the resale rights. So if you do find one that you like the look of, my advice would be message the seller and explain the business you're running and what the icons would actually be used for. It's so important to make sure that you'll be getting the rights to resell these icons, so make sure you clear that with them before purchasing anything. If you do manage to strike a deal with one of these sellers, then from there you can go ahead and give them your icon ideas. Hopefully they provide you a good service and then you're on your way. A couple of other sites that you can try for finding freelancers are Upwork, there's People Per Hour, and there's also onlinejobs.ph. The process will be very similar for each of these sites. Start by searching what you're after, find one you like, then start a conversation with the seller. The 3 websites I've just given you are all websites that I haven't actually personally tried, so please do your own research into them and how they work, but I do know you can get great work from all of them for very reasonable prices. Onlinejobs.ph is the cheapest I'm aware of, as this one is based in the Philippines, where generally people earn less money than, say, people in America, which is where most Fiverr sellers are based, so therefore they charge less. This doesn't mean that the quality is bad though. In fact, a lot of the designs that I've personally seen on this site look even better than the ones on Fiverr. So, in summary, if you do have limited time and some extra money that you would want to put into this business, then this can absolutely be a good route to go down. Just make sure you're getting the resale rights and the level of quality you expect for a reasonable price. On to the next lesson. It's time to talk about building your own website to sell your icons directly. If executed the right way, this can be your biggest earner, as you don't have to split any income with the marketplace, which means you get to keep every penny from each sale. This sounds great, right? The only problem is there is a catch. Setting up your own website takes marketing skills, a lot of time and a decent sized budget, as you'll have to cover the costs of hosting and building your website, as well as the marketing costs associated. All of this is why, the same as with outsourcing, I didn't want to go too in-depth on building your own website in this course to keep it a no marketing, low budget, time efficient business model. However, if this is something that you want to do, then I'd rather you do it with some good information on how to get it right. If you're very good at promoting, otherwise known as marketing, and you have some budget when starting out, this is a great avenue to go down. As I've mentioned, the reason that the marketplaces take a percentage of your sales is that they do all the legwork for the marketing and they have the built-in audience. So if you can do that legwork and get your own customers, then the potential for earnings is somewhat unlimited. However, while yes, you do keep all the money you make on your own site, there's an old saying that it is better to have a smaller slice of a bigger pie than a big slice of a small pie. Let's say 1 month you make $2,000 on a marketplace like Flat Icon and take 60% of that. You then get $1,200. Whereas due to your limited time, potential limited budget, and perhaps limited knowledge of marketing, on your own website you might struggle to get buyers and therefore make, say, $100, but then you do keep all of it. What I'd recommend is building up the passive income streams through the marketplaces before taking this route, just so you have some money coming in that will support the costs of running your own website, and you'll also have a bigger library of icons ready for when you do sell them independently. So let's say you've done this and you have the time, budget and are a great marketer, you're ready to set up your own website. Assuming that to save money, you don't want to go the hiring a website developer route, I'd recommend using something like Squarespace or Shopify to set it up. These are both services that I have personally used and found success with, but any website builder that has commerce built in will do the job. This website, Symbol Icons, is a great example of the type of thing you can make on Squarespace. As you can see, it's nothing overly complicated, but shows off their icons in a great way and really gives the buyer incentives to buy their product. At the time of recording this, both of the websites I've given you come with a 14-day free trial. If building your own site is something that you want to do, I'd recommend doing a bit of research, perhaps watching some tutorials on creating your own site with one of these website builder tools and then starting the trial. Basically, doing enough prep work that you can make as much use of the free trial as you can. Perhaps even prototype the website in something like Sketch or other design software to really map out how you want your website to look. You can then take this design and create your own online store based off of it. Making the website is the first step, but marketing really is the key, and is, for me at least, the hardest part. I've set up my own campaigns in the past using things like Facebook ads, Google ads, and other social media ads, but really these are minefields for someone who doesn't have knowledge of marketing, and the costs of it can rack up pretty quickly. I'm by no means a marketing expert, so please make sure if this is something that you want to try for yourself, go ahead and follow some marketing courses or speak with a marketing professional to make sure that you have a very good grasp on it before throwing all of your money at ads that don't get you the results that you want. In summary, with marketing, time, and a decent budget, having your own website is great, but it's definitely much more hard work and more costly than simply uploading your icons to multiple marketplaces and letting them do the work. Now, having gone through building your own website and coming to the end of Module 6, it's time for the last lesson, where you'll get some useful tidbits to help you on your journey, and some closing thoughts including how much money you can potentially make from this business model. See you there.
Welcome to Module 7, the final module. In order to put a nice cap on this course and finish off on a strong note, I wanted to leave you with some very useful pieces of advice, talking about realistic expectations for your earnings as well as giving you some useful tidbits. I really hope you enjoy your final lesson.
So, you're now a fully fledged icon contributor, well on your way to a life of passive income. Passive income is incredible. It is a slow burner and will take some time for the trickles to build up to a substantial income, but by following all of the steps I've shown you, especially in expanding and maintaining your business, you will get there before you know it, and those trickles will become streams that are unstoppable. Remember, this is not a less is more business, this is a more is more business, so get out there and get after it. If you really put some hard work and time into this, you can build a life for yourself away from the mundane 9 to 5 and towards a life of freedom. Earning passive income is such a phenomenal, unique experience. Once you start, you won't want to stop. I'm sure that once you've conquered the icon business, you'll be straight into the next project and coming up with new ways to earn income on the side all the time. It really is a new way of life. I know I've mentioned this a lot through this course, but time really is your greatest asset. Building any kind of business is all about speed. How fast can you make the product and get it out to the world? Any opportunity you find to optimize your process and speed things up, you should absolutely take it. With the icon business, you may find ways to speed up tagging, maybe a new way to upload that's faster, or even find a way to convert to the other styles more efficiently. Whatever you can find to get your icons onto the websites faster will be a massive help in improving your amount of income. It seems obvious, but having more icons listed directly relates to how much money you make. And the faster you make those icons, the faster you will earn the big bucks. Speaking of earnings, before I go, I just want to give you some realistic expectations of how much money you can expect to start earning from your icons. So if we take me as an example, I now have over 80,000 icons that I've personally made and I'm currently selling. I'm selling these on about 10 marketplaces and make around £6,000 per month from them. Something like 8,000 converted into dollars. The website that has paid me the best since the start is Flat Icon, totaling almost 30 to 40% of my monthly earnings. All 9 others pay me similar amounts that add up to 3,000 or 4,000 per month, with Noun Project and Icon Finder standing out the most. It wasn't always this way though. The amount I've earned has gone up significantly in the last 4 years, where I decided to take this thing seriously and build a full-time income out of it. The 3 or so years I spent before then in the icon business was very part-time, making 100 icons here and there and getting small amounts of income from them, listing them on some of the smaller marketplaces. It was only when I discovered Flat Icon and the opportunity that working with them presented that I decided to go full force into it and start making as many icons as I physically could alongside my other work. So with that said, how much can you expect to earn? Well, it's hard to say an exact figure because it depends on the quality of your icons, the marketplaces you're selling on, and how many you can actually produce. But assuming that you get onto the marketplaces that I'm on, let's take my numbers for an example. So in terms of dollars per icon, I make roughly $1 per icon per year. So let's say you make 10,000 icons, which seems like a lot, but remember that number is including the multiple styles. So actually you'd only have to make 2,000 icons and then convert them into, say, 5 styles. If you do this, you can easily expect to earn $10,000 to $15,000 per year. That's a nice bonus of up to $1,250 per month. If you're going to the extreme and say team up with other designers or start hiring or outsourcing your work and you get to the 1 million mark with your icons, you could actually earn $1 million per year. Amazing, right? Obviously, this number is very difficult to reach in terms of output of icons and isn't realistic for a single designer on their own, but 100,000 icons is very possible. I do other things besides icon design that take up my time, so if I was to work solely on the icons, I could easily double the icons I've made from 80,000 to 160,000 in half the time it took to build the 80,000. But since I have a lot of other things in the works, this isn't really realistic for me. So, we've come to the end of my course. Hopefully now you feel confident in diving straight into the icon design world and setting up your passive income streams, earning you a healthy paycheck each month. Feel free to replay any section that you're unsure about as many times as you like.
If I could help just one person achieve a passive income stream that sets them up for life, then I would have achieved my goal with this course. Please feel free to contact me if you ever get stuck and leave any feedback that you'd like, hopefully all good. I'd really love to hear some success stories from some of you after following my advice. My goal really is to help you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking this course. I really put my heart and soul into this one. I wanted to cover everything, giving you the knowledge that you need to build the life that you want. With that being said, I'm off to create some more icons. Hope to see you on the marketplaces soon.